friends, and welcome to episode 181 of The Rewind, a podcast dedicated to keeping its listeners on the cutting edge of the MMORPG Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. As always, Drac and I want to take a moment to thank all of you for keeping us on your playlists. If you're listening while working, driving, or joining us live at the premiere Saturdays at noon Eastern on YouTube, it means a lot to us that you make us a part of your week. We love reading your posted comments and top fives. I especially enjoy reading when Drac gets blasted for calling water a snack. If you like what we do here, give us a like and subscribe. It costs nothing and helps us reach all those lost Pantheon puppies find us. The last thing we want is for them to get their information from sources like Reddit. If you're interested in helping us financially, you can do so through the link below at our Patreon, or become a YouTube member and have your name read off each week in our Adventuring Party segment. Shout out to our first YouTube member, Aaron Miller. Welcome. If you love our top 5 segments, you can join our raid team, where you can interact with us on our private Discord, get early access to show notes, and I will happily tell you how wrong your top 5 list is each week with love. Lastly, the return of my favorite person on the internet, a man who needs no introduction because the color of his facial hair does it for him. The last couple weeks have been huge, and I want to make sure we got him on the show again before he starts refusing to do it because he's the cock of the walk and we are the chicken scratches. Just don't forget us when you hit 1 million subscribers. Our Pantheon therapist, RedbeardFlynn. Now, on with the show.
In the twilight bustle of Quinfall, the famed market district teemed with magic and commerce. Ziplox, the mysterious dark mirror rogue, slipped through the crowded streets, his silver eyes searching for exotic trinkets and enchanted lockpicks. At a fragrant spice stall, annoying Llama, the resolute human monk, known for unwavering discipline, bartered fiercely for rare herbs and healing tonics. Nearby, Screech the exuberant Skar bard with his iridescent scales charmed a cunning alchemist with captivating melodies, persuading him to lower the price of a shimmering amulet. Anton Dovydaitis, the wise dark mirror shaman Glyphkeeper, calmly negotiated with a grizzled rune carver, exchanging ancient glyphs for potent talismans pulsing with elemental energy. Churrodude, the nimble gnome summoner, dazzled a potion brewer with quick wit and animated gestures, securing a vial of luminescent elixir at a bargain. Overseeing every transaction was Archbishop, the stalwart Dwarf Paladin, whose booming voice and firm handshake commanded the respect among merchants and buyers alike. United with purpose and bolstered by their newly acquired supplies, the adventurers readied themselves for looming dangers. With hearts alight and inventories replenished, they stepped into the night, prepared to carve legends in a world brimming with mystery and peril beyond measure.
This week in Visionary Realms News and Notes.
First off, we should probably introduce our fantastic, amazing guest.
Man, I kind of did in the intro, but yeah, sure. Redbeard, go ahead and say hi to the people.
Hi, people.
He's so wonderful. Just listen to those sweet, sultry tones of his voice.
He's probably still embarrassed by that ridiculous intro that you gave him.
Oh, come on. It was hilarious.
I've existed on the internet for more than a year. There's no embarrassment left.
There's none. It's all over.
I've cosplayed as my wife, man.
I remember that. That was so great. The things we do to, I don't know, entertain people, I guess.
I guess. No one knew about my number 2 snack like 4 years ago, and now it's just everywhere. You can't escape it. All right, but let's get to... Whoa!
Let's break a bunch of shit.
Let's knock my whole water situation over.
Number 2 snack down. Number 2 snack down.
At least it was water. All right.
Everywhere?
Let's
Do you
try
need
this.
cleanup time?
No. It was just the.
Are you crying over spilled water?
Jack spilled his snack.
I would say let's cut this out, but there's no possible
It's
way.
absolutely staying in. I'm going to clip around it, but it's absolutely staying in.
All right. So there wasn't tons of VR news this week. So I thought I'd dig into the Discord a little bit.
That's good. They better be working on the Druid.
No, the
Crickets.
Discord.
Crickets.
The official
Crickets.
Discord. You know, that place of harmony and lovingness.
Oh,
and-
where everyone's super kind to each other and there's never any ill towards any other person,
You know,
especially on a certain server called Black Moon.
it's only people that really love VR and Joppa and, you know, just sing their praises all the time.
Oh, yeah. I live there.
Anyway, there were several, and I mean several different posts, and it basically, I'm just going to kind of sum it up. It basically goes something like this. This game dies after level blank, and there's no content, and VR needs to put in more content in the later levels. What the heck is going on?
Well, how is someone already 40 if there's no content post 25? That makes no sense. They've already proven that there is content.
Content, but not like lots of content, maybe is what they're saying. Like there's not a variety of content. It's not, you know, something like that.
How many people are 25? Most of the people that we play with are like altaholics and haven't gotten past 20,
Yeah.
let alone 10, because they have to play every race class combo.
Yeah, there's a lot of that also going on. But I think that some people, you know, are just trying to get to the end as fast as possible. We'll call it wowing it. And you know, they're just really trying to get to the end, and they're struggling because once you get post 30, from what I've heard, the experience really slows down. And also there's not tons of places to go.
I don't know about you guys, but it slowed down at like 20.
I'm level 19, so I can't even comment.
Yeah, how many alts do you have, Red?
Too many.
Yeah. I mean, everyone wants to try the classes. You know, you don't want to
Well,
make a
it's
commitment.
Yeah, it's not even just that. It's, you know, I have friends that are around level 10, so I want
Right.
to go play with those friends around level 10, which may or may not be why I suggested a mentor system, but we won't get into that. But it's, yeah, so it's just making characters to play with other people and then just, you know, taking it slower and casual. I get what people are saying about the no content after X level or whatever, but the game isn't built yet. Like if you're
Wait, what? I thought this was 1.0. This is an early access?
Yeah, that whole early access thing. I mean, I guess that's a thing that wasn't stressed enough, despite being stressed everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
And to go back to your mentor system, I know they've talked about it. So
Yeah. I think
I'm sure it'll be in.
plans, but
Hopefully, it'll be, you know, EQ2-esque, but minus the complete terrible skewing that
Overpowered.
happens.
Speaking of, I still need you to come level me in EQ2.
Yeah, let me know. 92 next week jumps up to 95, so bring it on. Or are you talking in Origins?
Origins.
Oof. I did hit level 50 in Origins, but it was rough.
I bet.
That was a grind. We definitely, luckily, Random Rob and his friends over on the West Coast, the Pacific P words, as I like to call them. Don't worry, they don't listen to this show, so they'll never know. They were instrumental. I mean, I'm a warrior, so like I'm not going to be of much help, but I'm happy to help in any way I can.
All right, that's like our EQ2 quota for the year.
All right, time to talk about Pokemon.
All right. So to go back to what we were talking about, you guys are okay about where VR's at currently with the kind of content up to 25-ish, and then it gets a little sparse?
Yeah, like okay. It's because it's going to be dependent on what you're trying to get out of the game. Like it's
right.
You got to be okay with it because that's where the game is. And until the game is in 1.0, it's just going to be it's going to be what you get. And I've appreciated that some of like the bigger issues for content gaps have been solved in like, you know, post EA launch, like the level 16 to 18. Or really like level 15 to 18 there was an issue.
Miserable.
There wasn't really anything to do except you could do Halnir or you could do snakes, and that was it. And so there's just this big gap. And then they added the orc camps, which was a really great thing to add. And then, we're going to be having more stuff added in the level 20 ranges coming in. These mini camp type things, I think, are helpful to the game at filling it out. But there's still like, there's other things. Like if you're coming into this game looking for lore, there isn't any.
Right.
Like it's not, it dies at level 25. There's none. There's like, there's a couple quests here and there. There's a couple of perception pings here and there, but it doesn't exist really. Like it's not in game. And so there's places where content goes, far beyond, and places where content is dead. Itemization, for example, is an issue where, the game dies off, but experience continues. Experience continues up through level 40. There's a reason why people are level 40. And like the zone space continues. So there's different tracks of the game that are more complete than other tracks of the game. And it's early access. I think everyone over the last 5 years wishes everything would go faster. But
Right.
that's also in some ways a good sign, because that means that's a good product that people want. The problem is it's not going to go faster. This is the speed we have, and
this is what Joppa wanted. In my opinion, the way he described it, this is exactly where he wanted it. So I'm very happy with it. I'm only 24.
I'm happy too.
Yeah, like I'm not pushing it either. Like I'm not playing every night because I don't want to like outlevel my group or whatever the case may be. Is although I'm the lowest of the levels, so maybe I need to play a little more.
Yeah.
And of course, now all this is going to change tomorrow, right? Like we're going to get new itemization. We're going to get some new stuff, some Unity 6. And so,
new content areas.
Yeah. New dungeon. Everyone come back tomorrow. Everyone's woes will be tapered or cured or, whatever level they need to be happy about it again.
Well,
for a game that they paid $40 for and don't have to pay a subscription to, and knowing it's in early access. Come on.
Yeah.
You're asking a lot. You're asking a really lot.
I know.
I don't know. It's in early access is a thing that I was told a couple times about another review I did. But there's this desire to rush to end game. And I don't think I think that people are still approaching it this way. The people that are getting to the point, like, when, like, I'm not necessarily talking about people in the 20s. I think you could pretty legitimately get to the 20s playing somewhat casually, if you were playing since the launch of early access,
for sure.
But if you're like 30 plus or like getting close to 40, I think at that point it may be rushing the game a little bit too much to get the most out of it right now. And it's one of those things that I think we've been conditioned to do over the last 15 years. I mean, like,
without a doubt,
we've been conditioned to. And if you're coming from EverQuest specifically, you're even more conditioned to do it, because a lot of what EverQuest players do now is they play progression servers, which always has like a ticking timer on them. You have X amount of weeks or months until you have to be a higher level to keep up with current content, or you get left behind.
Thanks, Darkpaw.
It's a treadmill. So it's that conditioning of a treadmill. And then also just like everyone has a fear in general with any kind of social game of, if I don't keep up, there's no one to play the game with me. That sucks. And I don't know, there really isn't a solution to that. The biggest solution to that is population inundation. And I don't think you're going to get that in an early access title. You're not going to get enough people playing for that to exist, where you have enough people playing at different speeds, where you have population at each level. So you'll maybe your friends get to level 25 and you feel the need to be at level 25 because they are. So you try and rush through content to catch up with them. So you may not be actually enjoying the content. I wonder how many people that got through 25, how much of Hellner did they get to experience and things like that? Because there's different experiences in the game right now that are more worthwhile at lower levels than at higher levels.
Right.
And like Hellner is one of them.
Yeah, I think that like rushing through the game at this point, or also I know that Joppa said in the past that sometimes that people are making this their main MMO and the focus of the only thing they're playing. I think that's a bad idea, and I think it's a trap. I think if you're playing Pantheon as the only game you're playing and you're like crushing like 8 to 10 hours a day, like you're going to get through it all and you're not going to have anything.
Go touch grass.
Go touch some grass.
I've got a kind of a hot take around that too.
Ooh.
And it could in part be just because I don't think outside of raiding EverQuest, I don't think I ever had a point in my MMO journey where I had just one game and that's all I played. When I played EverQuest, I played EverQuest and I played WoW and I played Star Wars Galaxies. You know, I tried a lot of different games at the same time. And I think because these games are so big and expansive and there's so much FOMO in these games, we tend to get this feeling of we have to put all of our time and effort into this game or it's not worthwhile. And I think because, you know, you're not getting the same kind of highs you would with like a single player game because they come faster. But I think there's some benefit in playing multiple games, whether it's just playing an MMO and then playing lots of single player games or playing multiple MMOs. It is in fact possible to play multiple MMOs and enjoy yourself. You don't have to be at the cutting edge of the content to enjoy the game. There may be some people that is their enjoyment, and I don't want to belittle that type of gameplay, but it's just like I think that there can be the opportunity to enjoy multiple games. Like, for example, this year there's a lot of potential games coming out and more testing. You know, there's ripe opportunities to explore lots of different games, just not certain games.
I also want to bring up that this dungeon that's coming out tomorrow is like from low 20s to maybe 30.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you have blasted through the content and your main tune is 35 to 40, now you don't get to go experience this dungeon unless you have an alt. So it behooves you to like try out other tunes. Don't just mainline one. Maybe if you get one up there, but
or you could just die a bunch and de-level.
Well, there's that. I guess
you can
that's
de-level in this game.
I do not recommend that. Having done that before, not on purpose, I don't recommend it.
Definitely one way you can go about that. And as watching your streams, you are exceptional at that, Redbeard. So if you want to go about it that route, by all means. But at least on Stormona, there are still people in the newbie zones. The word has gotten out. We did it right, Drac. We brought our people with us, and they're not the hardest of hardcore. People that are on Stormona didn't want the Black Moon server, right? They want to experience it over a long period of time. They have other things, children, lives. We're old, heart attacks to have. Things having a heart attack live on podcast. If you're looking for that sort of experience, come to Stormona. There's lots of people still on grouping at Skeletons, grouping at Fort, grouping at Manor. People are looking for groups all the time. So if you're struggling, you may want to start on a different server, and you're welcome to join us on Stormona.
PvP server coming soon too.
We don't talk about that here. The 247 PvP server.
Yeah, I was going to say, Red, did you hear us last week? We're totally naming it the 247 server. Go on his and tell him that he needs to name it the 247 server. I think that would just be the greatest server name of all time.
All right, we're going to wrap this thing up in a nice bow. I'm going to end with this. I think the seasons were so magical and that everybody loved the seasons because you had a timeline in which the next thing was out. And I'm not saying they have to do the pace that they did with the seasons, but we need something, right? If that's a roadmap, if that's seasons, if that's something. Because we are now in the land of we don't know what they're doing or where they're going again. And that's never been a good place for the Pantheon community to be. And so I kind of think that it really lends themselves VR. It would really help them if they had some kind of like, okay, so in 3 months, this is kind of what we want to put out. And in like 3 months after that, this is kind of what we want to put out or whatever, right? We need the next carrot.
Yeah.
I don't really feel like we have it.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying. And I think Pantheon's in kind of a weird space right now where they are both the most transparent they've ever been and also the least. And what I mean by that is you have Joppa streams multiple times per week, which is not only showing what he's currently working on, but also like we get to find out like through those streams that, oh, Unity 6 is coming. Like we get to see, you know, designs that are coming into the game, like weapons and stuff before they get in. So there's a lot of transparency showing what's working, and he's answering questions for a couple hours a day. It is also under the veil of it is not official. These are Joppa's streams. He's doing this in part because he wants to stream. I think some of that gets lost. And then also most people aren't going to watch a stream. They're just not. It's a huge commitment. So not having the production tracker, not having some kind of guidance of what's coming next, the roadmap, those kind of things, I can definitely see the frustrations of not seeing those things and knowing what to expect or when. I am curious to see, now that Unity 6 is done or will be done, how does the cadence look from there? Because we have gotten new content in the game since the launch of EA. We've gotten like the new orc area, and you know, just like other areas have been filled out, new itemization and all that, those kind of things. But we haven't gotten a thing like a new zone type thing that we're kind of hoping for. And this is kind of one of the things that I was a little concerned about in the lead up to EA, because while it's not necessarily burnout, that's a lot of work that had to go into it in a tight time frame to get the game ready for EA, and it's natural for it to slow down after that. But the expectation is it wasn't going to slow down, and I don't know that they were very good in general as human beings of being patient.
Right. I don't think it was
not.
burnout. I think it was passed out. Like they crossed the finish line and collapsed into a pile.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. I totally don't think that the community is on the right track of what is reasonable for VR to produce.
Or has been around long enough to see what it was like in the past.
Oh, dude, in the past it's been brutal. But also, I think it's also on VR to give us something. Like, you got to give us some kind of like idea. It doesn't even have to be a roadmap. I don't need it in print. You can give me the Joppa, it may not happen guarantee or whatever, but like I need more than what I'm getting. I need to know rough timelines.
Even newsletters, like, you know.
Yeah, the newsletter.
And I get it. I think this is one of the double-edged swords of being an EA. Everything else is harsher. Customer service, it's now customer service for thousands more people than before. So, but they haven't exactly added more people. There's a lot more stress on the team post EA than before EA. There's more positivity, but there's also a lot more stress and more stretching thin. So I get, like, if you're going to cut something, some of those things make sense to cut. But I think as we get further and further into the first quarter here, not having any kind of official QAs, official newsletters, official actual roadmap, even if it's a broad roadmap, like it could be a quarter by quarter roadmap. And I think there'll be people pissed off, but there'll also be people happy with a quarter by quarter roadmap, just to kind of know what's going on without having to go to a stream. Like, because I think there's plenty of people that don't know how soon the Druid is coming, don't have any idea that it's even been shown or anything like that. Or if you were in the stream today, it was mentioned that they might be working on getting the baseline bard because other work needs to be done on the music part of the bard. But none of that's conveyed outside of the streams unless it's up to content creators to do so.
If only there was a podcast that you could turn to get weekly updates.
Section.
Weekly updates about what Joppa said every week. Daimlos, do you know of any such podcast?
You know, there's one that I've heard of, but the two hosts are real assholes. Like, they just bicker. They spend most of the time ranting about a bunch of stupid bullshit that doesn't matter. They make up stupid lists and spend hours on hours talking about nothing. Other than that, that's the only one I've heard of. To get back on topic, I wanted to play a little devil's advocate on this. We're in a place now, we're past the roadmap. We're past the seasons because people wanted weekly patches. Now that we've got patch day, there is no ability to put out a newsletter. Maybe they could do it once a quarter, I guess, maybe, but they, like you said, Red, they don't have time for it now. They need to hire people before they can start doing that again. But because they're chunking out content so quickly and updating the game so quickly, they could make a newsletter or they could make a monthly roadmap and it'd be completely gone because they're updating it so quickly and pumping stuff out so quickly. So I know that we old people want that, but that's not what the people in Joppa's chat are clamoring for. They want weekly updates and they don't need the news. They just want it when they load their game up, see it in the patch notes, read what happened this week and call it good. I think we are of the past where that's what we were used to, and the 6 months was a good cadence for most of us. But that's not the players that are playing right now. The people that are populating all these servers want the weekly content, and they want to know what it is, and they want their patch notes. Every time they pop up that screen and it says patch notes unavailable, that's what's getting them. All they want is just to see what happened this week on the patch. That's it, and go. So I don't think there is either a need for it because it's just putting more work on their plate for old people like us that honestly, we keep up with it enough. We watch the Joppa streams. There's really not a need for it. And it just puts more work on them.
It does. But I would say, so if you think about terms of early access generally is not the height of your player base. It never will be unless your game doesn't launch. Because there is a not insignificant portion of people that will never play an early access game, or they do not want to play a game that has wipes, or they do not want to play a game in an unfinished state, right? I use Baldur's Gate 3 as a good example of this. They peaked at 40k players, and the peaks before launching, the 40k players was like around patches, but most of the time they were sitting around 1 to 2k players concurrent. They launch. And hit
ba-boom, ba-boom.
Yeah,
greatest game of all time.
Right? And I think that's in part because apart from anything else, there's no marketing at all for this game.
Yeah,
there's zero marketing for it, and so I think that's why stuff like newsletters, even just a newsletter that kind of recaps things, and kind of looks forward, like the newsletter we had, keeps people engaged who are not playing the game right now, because there are people that are just not playing. And also people that may have tried it, think it's not ready yet, and then they're just looking for incremental updates instead of trying to sit and sift through things and try and figure out, okay, well, what minutia was said for next week's patch versus the following week's patch. And so I think that those public-facing PR things, official public relations, official communication is still important, and I think it's one of the things that's fallen by the wayside. Since early access launch, I get why, and it is because of that very loud need of, we need content right now, and we need to know what is happening. Hey, when are you going to fix when are you going to fix Feign Death? Feign Death really needs to be fixed. Can you fix Feign Death? Hey, when are you going to add Necromancer to Demeth? The very immediate need things versus big picture things. But the newsletter stuff, I think, is important to bring back as soon as they can, but they need someone to write it. And they need someone who can easily get information officially from various parties without taking away too much time, because everyone's still heads down. And so taking away too much time to collect all the information, it's going to be difficult. But just a meeting where you get all the information, take it all down, and then convert it into a newsletter, I think would be good, even if it's monthly. Like it was.
I think a recap could be good. I just don't think that they can be ahead of it. The stuff is changing so fast that does them a disservice to even try.
Yeah, then you get it wrong.
Exactly.
Hey, I know a guy that makes a mean newsletter and also knows how to do some web development.
I also know a guy who is a writer and creates a bunch of content for Pantheon.
All right, we have to move on. PvE guidelines. Apparently,
this was my favorite part of the week.
Are a bunch of naughty MMORPG players. Like, you have been
shocker that gamers are trying to exploit. I would have never guessed.
Now, as I'm reading through this list of stuff, and the link is in the description to the Pantheon PvE rules. As I'm reading through this list, you don't meet most of these expectations. Let's start with the first one.
Sure.
Language downloads. Pantheon Rise of the Fallen aims for PG-13 teen-rated language and content. Do you know how long I've been trying to get the After Dark to be PG-13, Redbeard?
Fuck that shit, Drac. We're never doing that. Also, they're talking about OOC and channels that everybody sees. If I'm going to drop the C-bomb to you in text, I absolutely can. That's totally fine.
Which I do. I on this part, I wish they worded something a little bit differently, because they say this is enforced in all open channels, including Tell and Group. So open channels and Tell and Group. Tell and Group are technically not open channels.
Yeah, those are channels.
But, yeah. But
Group I can kind of understand. But
if I'm getting the benefit of the doubt here, it's if someone starts like sending you tells and cursing at you and cussing you out, yeah, they'll act on that too, right? That's how I'm taking it. Not like, oh, they're gonna monitor everyone's tells, and if you say shit or damn, you're gonna get banned.
Language.
VR, just don't look up what I say about in my tells.
The first sign will be that Daimlos gets banned. Number 2, respect. We are here to enjoy the game. We expect players to treat each other with common decency and not call them names, Daimlos.
Looking at you, Black Moon.
What are you talking about? Look at yourself. You're the one that's like gets into pug groups and mercilessly mocks people.
What? You're the pugger. I don't pug. You're the one from the group that pugs the most.
You just said his name. You just outed him again.
Oh, and I tell you what, yesterday in the OOCs, this is a great story of why people like this should be tempered. This motherfucker, I'll cut that. This guy responds to someone in OOC. Someone just is excited about playing the game. He's probably a little weird, and he shouts off in OOC just saying something like, guess what time it is? I don't remember his name, but it's his name time, or it's Daimlos time, or whatever his name was, or Daimlos Mania time, or whatever he said. I don't care. And then this giant piece of shit human was just like, I can't wait till they add ignore to the game, so I can ignore players like you. I can't stand people who just want to poo-poo on people's good time. Let the man say something in OOC. Did I find it dumb as well? Sure. You don't need to go into OOC and say it's Daimlos Mania time. That's stupid. Nobody wants to see that, and no one really wants to respond to it either. But if this person
you may want to bleep those names. You're not.
I'm definitely not.
I think we know.
Doxing is one of the things.
Yeah, doxing is. We're gonna get to that.
This is my show. I can dox whoever I want. I'm not doxing it on Pantheon. Fine, I'll clip it all out. But for this, Drac, you may have to add beeps. But
it's fine. No, we can beep it. It's fine. I'll just beep it.
I just don't want to play with people like that. It's you make the game worse. And I'm talking to you, bleep name.
Oh my goodness. So
Next
far you're 0 for 3. Oh
well.
So let's move on to gameplay.
I paid a lot of money to play the game. They're not kicking me out.
Harassment is not acceptable.
Yeah, bleep name. Go F yourself.
Are you talking about Bob?
Just like
he's camping hobgoblins.
Yeah,
comes up and starts killing.
Sorry, I just get real passionate about people who are real assholes, and there's no reason to be assholes to other people.
Yeah, don't yuck someone else's.
Exactly. Let people have fun. They paid their $40 too, $40 to $1,000 too. Let them have fun. Let them have fun.
All right, gameplay. This game does not enforce camps. Make friends, share space, or group up. Or don't call a camp at the beginning of the cave when you're not at the actual camp. Also that one, okay?
We're calling Chief. I'm at the well right now. Does anyone want to join me for a Chief camp? Because I've called it, and it's mine. Anyone that is on the way there or there right now, just so you know, that's mine.
What about you, RedbeardFlynn? Do you have any problems with language, respect, or gameplay?
It's interesting, right? Because like the But having a play nice policy in an MMO like this, I think, is an important thing. But having no enforcement, basically, like when EverQuest had to give up on their PNP policy, everything degraded very fast. And I think that people tend to look like, oh no, but you'll have reputation, and the reputations matter. And like, no, I'm pretty sure the person that Daimlos was talking about and had their name bleeped multiple times, I'm pretty sure they want that reputation. I don't think they care.
You're right.
I think that people don't necessarily. Maybe they're being a little bit too generous to people's goodwill.
All right, so finally we got one that we don't really have to worry about all that much, which is naming policy, because all of our names are flawless victory, right?
I mean, I took mine from a video game. Is that okay?
I don't know. No, I totally made mine up, so mine's 100%. But is RedbeardFlynn, is that acceptable? I don't know that that's acceptable. You're kind of describing your name, aren't you? Like Red Beard and then Flynn. I don't know if that's within the naming policy.
I think I am violating the naming policy.
Breaking news! RedbeardFlynn is violating the policy. Kick him out.
What about Deadbeard Flynn though? Because
I think that's also describing a state you're in. I don't think that fits the policy.
All those people out there that have immature names that are part of the human body, or names that are inappropriate, that aren't funny, that maybe you think are funny, just come up with a regular name. This isn't hard. We do it all the time. You name your pets, you name your pet rocks, you name your cars. Just come up with a regular name.
I would just like the public to know that I have not invited people into my guild based on what their name was. I was like, no, not happening. I'm not inviting that into my guild. And some officers in my guild have invited names into my guild that are just completely out of bounds as well. But that doesn't mean that I won't report you. Just FYI. I'm not above reporting my own guild members' names.
Yeah, I don't want that stuff in there. It's stupid. We're old men. Even the younger people that are playing this game are old enough to not pick dumb names that involve genitalia or whatever. It's just stupid. Just be a normal human and pick a regular name.
You don't want Fat Wiener in your guild?
I'm also a little bit sub on Sweet Cheeks, okay? Just FYI.
Yeah. No, are we doxing him?
No, I said that wrong on purpose. Don't dox anybody. That's part of what we're covering.
I really hope
you don't understand what's going on with the guidelines.
I was confused. I thought you were about to dox him.
No, you're missing the guidelines. You're missing the whole point. You don't understand.
I don't get any of this. I can't follow the rules.
Oh my god.
Last but not least, I like to call this the suck it up clause. Also known as early access support expectations, aka if you go down in a dungeon and are stupid, we're not getting your body out for you, and don't message Savanya 10,000 times. That's kind of what this is.
Wait, that's why you make a necromancer or a summoner, so you can summon your own corpse.
Or join a guild.
There's so many summoners and necromancers at this point. You can get your body back. Just relax with messaging Savanya and or posting on the Discord. I see Discord messages all the time. Hey, Savanya, can you get my body back? What the heck?
How is it that hard to just ask a necro or summoner? I don't get it.
It's not.
I think that was the point of giving necromancers and
it was,
right?
Because, I mean, apart from anything else, yes, there are still issues in the game with lost corpses and stuff like that. Having the ability for players to rectify that makes a big difference.
I'm pretty sure you made that happen, Redbeard. Like, you pushed for that, and it got in.
I pushed extremely hard for it because I thought that not having a way for people to summon their corpses in early access would cause a tremendous amount of issues.
It was amazing foresight on your part, because it would have been an absolute train wreck if we did not have Corpse 7. So good job, RedbeardFlynn.
Hey, Joppa, you get me so excited about classes and abilities. When you say you're someone, I'll come and friends for me. Hey, Joppa, I hoped your words were pure gold. My broken heart is my fault, so now I carry around an extra shaker of salt. Hey, Joppa.
Joppa says, but also RedbeardFlynn says, because a lot
forget
of
this Joppa stuff. Let's talk about what RedbeardFlynn has to say. That's what's important.
we're taking a 1-week vacation from Joppa, and we are focusing all on the Flynn.
No.
Okay, yeah, we'll get to Joppa here shortly, but a couple big reasons I wanted you on the show to pump your ego. One, if you haven't heard, Redbeard won the Fippy Award for Content Creator of the Year, EverQuest Content Creator. So,
Woo!
congratulations to you, my friend. Well deserved.
Dude, I'm still like I've never won anything like that before, and I was watching live. I freaking teared up, man.
That's so
Like,
awesome.
I was, yeah, it means a lot to me. Like I watched the EverQuest show when I was raiding in EverQuest. It's just I'm really humbled by it.
Now you're a big deal. You're like
No, I'm not.
you're like the cock of the walk.
You will continue to be unless you keep hanging around us. That will sink your trajectory.
Sorry, bud.
In a matter of months.
We greatly appreciate your friendship, but we're just dragging you down. We're like the anchor to your sail. You know, it's fine. No, I was watching live too. I was watching with the guild. It was like we paused raiding, like we were about to start raiding, but this was still going on, and we wanted to hear who the best guild of the year was. We waited until it was announced, and then we started our raid. Of course, we lost, but it is what it is. I actually, I don't know if you went or if you listened to Drama Quest, Zaid's podcast that he puts out randomly. He had Fading On, and they talked about it. They talked a lot about it. It was actually a 3-hour episode, and they went into it pretty heavy. You, of course, were mentioned several times, and they all love you. It was about the video that you made to submit that, and so hopefully next year we'll all step up our game. And I know they want to split the EQ2 and EQ1 guilds so that it's their own, because we didn't really stand a chance. Although kind of spilled the beans on what order they were in, and they kind of said Riders was third. So I didn't feel too bad about that, especially going up against EQ, very established EverQuest guilds. Like that's kind of a big deal that we were able to do that.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy seeing guild names of guilds that I remember when I was playing EverQuest in like 2001, 2002. You know, I was like, oh shit, okay, that's still around.
Yeah, Drac, I don't know if you've been following this, but That's EQ Baby was up for Guild of the Year.
Oh my goodness, that does not help with the prestige of the award.
So they did like interviews with leaders of each one, and they did actually, EQ Baby in their interview did say, we know what our name is out there, but things have changed. It's been 5 years since the guild started, and things have changed drastically. So I don't think they go around kill stealing all the time and telling people that that's EQ Baby.
Locking people out of their wizard epic, locking them out, killing the mob that is needed for the wizard epic, and then laughing at you when you can't
I think they're a kindler, gentler guild.
That play nice policy.
Jeez.
But yeah, I thought that was really awesome. I'm so glad that you won. I certainly voted for you. I hope that the little part that I blasted out to people got you that one vote you needed to win.
I mean, just all so much credit to Fading too.
Oh, huge credit.
Fading goes above and beyond with all of his content, and he doesn't. None of it's monetized.
That's crazy.
And it's crazy how much work he puts into stuff, and it's just like I remember watching the EverQuest show and thinking, "Wow, I could never do anything like that."
Right?
I really can't. I can't do anything nearly as well as he does. So EverQuest is lucky to have a super fan like Fading, and him getting to host the Fippy, the
Fippy Fest.
Yeah, Fippy Fest was. I mean, that was a culmination. That was great to see that, and then him doing an award show and finding a way to do an award show for essentially 2 games, like that's pretty awesome. Honestly, kind of coming up with like what new zone, new NPC models and stuff like that. It's cool. I thought it was a really cool, awesome thing. Having put on my own stupid show, I know how much goes into that, and like it doesn't always come through, but there it's months.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So just and just think about how many people Fading had to contact alone. I mean, just all the props to the EverQuest show. If you are a fan of EverQuest at all, go follow that channel because he's amazing.
Well, and he kind of talked about himself a little bit. I don't know if you know this, but he works in TV. So like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, that's what he wanted. He wanted the EverQuest show to be a television show where they ran credits at the end and all that stuff. It's in his blood, right? So of course,
I pulled up the Weather Channel one day and I was like, "What the?
Yeah,
what? That's Fading." It's like, wait, it's telling me about the weather. What is happening?
Our good friend Dwimble at one point found him that way too. He's like, "Oh my god, I just was watching the weather, and there he is. There's Fading." So that was cool.
I took a screen cap and sent it to him. I was like, "Dude, like what?
You're like the coolest weatherman ever." Well, since we're on the topic of EQ, another big reason I wanted to bring you on is you did a video recently about the EQ roadmap. How unbelievably disappointing was this?
Concerning.
Yeah.
I mean, they did a lot in 2024, right? For Year of the Dark Paw. They pushed a lot of new content. They did in-person events. They did packs. Like they were, I think no matter what, this year was going to feel a bit down because I mean you go to you go to 2 different conventions and have your own live event, and when you haven't done any of that for a long time, it's gonna be. But I don't know. I think like the concerns are mounting that I didn't have last year about EverQuest, which is sad to say.
Well, it was big anniversary year, so they were certainly hyping it up. You know, they had that anniversary tower that was cool. But
Origin server launched, biggest server, 2 biggest servers ever. Actually, wait, was Origin the biggest server ever? I think Teak was the most.
Teak definitely was.
Yeah,
I don't know about EQ2. I do know that the EQ2 people are pretty upset with this roadmap. Twofold. One, they are putting the majority of their time into Origins, which is fine for the Origin players, but the Origin server has been, from what I understand, pretty dead. Like I still see people, I don't even know if they're raiding or not, but like I haven't logged in for months now because it's forever before Desert of Flames come out. It's still in beta right now, so they haven't even come out with that part yet. It just is a little very, very strange what they're doing, and they've kind of turned their back on, I don't want to say turn their back on Varsoon, that's probably too strong, but they are not fixing things. So they had a pretty egregious like itemization issue on Varsoon, and some of the stuff is not working in the current expansion we're in. Yeah, they're just having issues with itemization and stuff like that. So, and they're not going to address it. So they're just going to say, they actually literally said, you have gone past the normal progression of these TLEs and you are now considered live. So anything that happens is with those devs, and all of our TLE devs are going to go work on Origins and whatever's next to come out in May.
Yeah, which there'll be new servers in May.
Yeah, so we're pretty sad over on the Varsoon server. I know we're going to be stuck in the next one for a while, but we knew that, and maybe we still will make it to live. But this announcement, we lost people to that announcement. So this roadmap thing really killed a lot of Varsoon players completely. They were already teetering, right? Like the population was already dwindling, and so now that just killed a lot of people. I mean, we probably lost a solid group of people. So now we got to find another group of people to help bolster our ranks. It's not good. So great job, Darkpaw.
Wait, as the only person who isn't playing EverQuest currently now in any form, I'm missing something on this roadmap. Missing something very important. Where's EverQuest 3?
That wouldn't be on the roadmaps.
A couple more things, Red. We loved your Joppa interview. However, why in your right mind did you host it in Halnir?
Hey, I thought that went well. Well, hosted in Halnir, one, to demonstrate group play that some people may not have done yet. It was actually my suggestion to do Halnir.
Did you just want to see how easy it is to die in this game?
We did really well eventually, okay? We only wiped like 3 times, and then after that, experience went very far in the right direction. Now is before they buffed the experience too. But as you saw,
Right.
like we kind of got into a bit of a groove. And one of the things I thought was really cool was like some of the comments were like, wow, y'all went and did that at level 10. We don't go in until level 14. And I think that kind of shows like that maybe it has a little bit of a maybe unearned reputation of being too scary. It is definitely scary.
It's very scary.
You need CC, I think, is one of the things that like you cannot do that without CC. And I think that's one of the stumbling blocks for a lot of people is they need that. And we had 2 healers. So our DPS actually suffered. And I'm not a good ranger, which I was told a lot in the comments.
Wow.
But
whoa.
I'm not. I really am not. I got too scared to use my ranger skills, to be honest. Like you're jumping backwards, you're jumping forwards, there's bridges, it's very easy to fall off of things. Like
it's a scary thing. Also, to be fair, with when you say reputation, they have lowered the difficulty quite a bit on Halnir's. Those entrance mobs used to stun you and then ravage you before you could do anything.
Well, and Ravage didn't have any indicator either, and now you get the yell when they do Ravage, so it's a lot easier to get through it. And I mean, Man of Rohan was using a tactic that I actually hadn't seen before, but it makes sense. You just run through the NPC to the other side, so Ravage goes off in front, and then you run back. And that makes sense. Yeah, just run through it.
So what you're saying is, before we as a community complain to VR about things being completely broken, maybe we should give it a couple of weeks for the community to come up with some strategies to combat some stuff. Is that what you're trying to say, RedbeardFlynn? Because that sounds crazy to me. Crazy.
I think it's an interesting push and pull in this community where some people want this to be the most difficult game ever made. And they may actually think of EverQuest as being harder than it actually ever was. And that's probably because when they were playing EverQuest, they were 13 and everything was difficult.
Oh boy.
At 13.
Oh boy. I see a whole subsection of people in the comments right now.
Oh yeah,
RBF. You've angered the neckbeards.
I'm used to that.
Yeah.
I know, like I think that there's a balance, because sometimes Pantheon does lean too far into the difficulty. You know, they lean too far into it. But that's also why we're here. Like that's also why it's early access. You go, you do the things, you test it, and you're like, hey, Joppa, this is crazy. Or hey, Joppa, this is too easy. Whatever, you know, like this is all like things. We're in the iterative stages of this, which feels weird after 10 years, but that's the reality of it. This is still iterative. Things change. The death penalty changed not very long ago. It was for a very brief while, there was 10% experience lost and no corpse recovery. Then there was 5% and corpse recovery. But with the 10%, you had 100% reses. You know, so like there, and before that, you had corpse shards. Essentially based the EverQuest 2 experience debt thing
with the never-ending experience debt that never went away.
I think it was like it was done in a way that needed to be tweaked. But that's a whole other conversation.
It's gone now, so who cares?
You know, for now anyway.
for now.
Like I think that's the thing is like people may think of things like these are the first passes on a lot of this stuff, and it's not like they have a team of 20, 30 people testing the game. They don't. Internal testers. So it's legitimate for players to say like this is too hard or this is too easy, but also realize that too hard or too easy is it's on a spectrum. You know, too hard for one person is too easy for another person. And sometimes I think as a community we could be a little bit nicer to each other.
What?
When it comes to
we're gamers, Redbeard.
Play nice policy.
No. I'm going to be a real asshole to everybody in OOC.
Here's the other thing. I would much prefer that VR makes it too hard and we have to kick them back across the line and make the mobs easier. I think that's a much better trajectory than VR makes the mobs too easy and then we have to make them harder. That's way more difficult for the community to take.
It's easier to go one way than the other way for sure. I think Halnir still has a reputation of being insanely hard. And to be fair, like the bottom stages of Halnir, some of that's ridiculous for the way that the game's currently made up, where you have like it's like raid content, which I mean, cool, because that's really is the content. But if you don't interrupt things, you die. Like
Yeah.
that's raid content.
Yep.
Most people are not going to be ready for that type of thing. And the reason why I say that that's too much for now, there's not enough freaking classes with interrupts.
Better find a local wizard.
I'm a necromancer. I'm a support. I can't interrupt anything. I thought I could.
Yeah, you
and
should
then I
get
found
something.
out, no, I found out I was actually murdering my group because I was trying to use my mez.
Selfish
like,
support.
Oh, no. Yeah. Well, no. And then I found out, it gives them a buff that makes their cast instant.
Oh my gosh. What were you doing?
So I was like, oh, no. I was like, okay, I'm going to help interrupt. Oh, wait, no. As soon as I drop the mez, they instantly cast the thing and kill everybody.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
you really want an enchanter when you hit Halnairs, because they have 3 different spells that can interrupt.
Yeah.
And so it's just the ultimate class for dealing with a lot of that stuff.
I think that's where where difficulty comes in. Is I don't think that the skills are spread out well at the moment. There's some that don't have enough utility. Utility has been an issue in general for a while, that especially if you're coming from a game like EverQuest, which is very big into utility. And I understand not wanting to do too much utility, but I think that leads to people thinking at times that the game is too hard because they don't have ways to counter things. I mean, if you think about it, even if you're thinking of soloing and there's like waylay hits really hard and just interrupt it. Some people can't. There is no interrupt. There's no way to interrupt.
Or worse, you get the deposition or the disposition of spell casting with also and not interruptible, right? Because you can get a mob with 3 different dispositions on it, and all of a sudden it's just living right in the middle of Halnairs, and you're like, "There's no way we're getting past this dumb thing," because it's super unkillable.
But that's what we're doing. That's we're fine. I think at one point someone was talking about a hut in Hangor that had all these different dispositions or traits, basically made the hut you couldn't do it because you could not split it because they were they had all the they were all immune to CC and and it was just a bad roll, basically a bad roll on the traits in a small area that made okay, this is essentially an oversight. Where this is not supposed to happen.
Right.
And the way that you would handle that is, I guess, just brute force, maybe 2 groups. But I don't know that that's necessarily good for the game to do okay, yeah, that's fine. It can just happen that way. There needs to be counters for players to do it realistically. And I think that's part of our job, is finding out what is realistic, what's a good level of difficulty. And that's what we're testing and doing. And I feel like at least the early stages of Halnir are in a very good place right now for that.
Hold on, we're testing in EA? What is this?
I thought we weren't testing. I'm so confused.
The last thing I wanted to talk about about the stream was I really appreciate that you kind of made Joppa play Pantheon. He had mentioned that he doesn't get a whole lot of Pantheon time. And I get it. He's busy. On top of the 80 hours of work, he's got family and life and stuff to do. But I'm glad you were able to get him to actually play the game and see what it was like. And, I think that's important for the vision. He needs to know what it's like to play the game.
And I think, again, Halnir was a good place to do that, because, the first time I interviewed Joppa, it was just running around as a duo. And, that was more interview and less play. I tried to keep some balance in this one, and I appreciate my fellow content creators as well that were able to ask some really good questions. But it was good to get the creative director playing, one of the more difficult areas at the time of level, and he wasn't super geared. None of us were super geared. I was probably one of the better geared because I had solo stuff, uncommons from the orcs, but still mostly crappy gear.
Sure.
So I think that was good to get him to experience some of that too, while also fielding our questions. Somebody just distracting him like a distracted healer should be.
Absolutely. It was good. Really appreciate that video. Last but not least, I want to talk to you about Quinfall. I need you to stop putting out this slander of what could be The greatest MMO of all time.
The greatest.
The largest,
The largest.
the best story, the best lore, the
If you
best
can imagine
everything.
it can happen.
Yeah. This is a place where imagination runs wild. It's called Quinfall, Red. Like, I can't believe that you would just put out these videos and say that it's not a real game when clearly everything
Yeah.
about it is real.
Listen,
You paid a real $40 to play that game.
$20.
$20. Whatever.
I did say Quinfall is a game. So I did say that. I did at the very beginning of the video say that it was a game. And to be completely fair, that is more than I expected it to be. I've been covering this game for about a year, about 2 years now, and I've had morbid curiosity about it as it got closer and closer to this date. And it's it's always interesting if I have a video that's negative, they tend to be my most disliked videos, and I get it.
It's because your
Especially-
community is positivity, right? Like that's, and
Well,
that's why I
it's-
appreciate you. You're the greatest thing on the internet because of that. Because you don't use hate clicks. I'm so sick
No,
of hate
well,
clicks.
Yeah, and I don't want to create negative content in general. But I also get because, like we grow our attachments to things. Whether it's, we grow attached to video games and we want them to be good, and when someone is saying this thing that you like is not good, it's natural to be upset. So it totally makes sense. I felt compelled to cover the Quinfall because
It's Quinfall? It has a U in
Quinfall,
it. It's got to be Quinfall, right?
Quinfall. I don't. It's one of those.
Doesn't matter. It's not a real game anyway. For all you listeners out there, this is a bit that Drac and I are doing. We also don't like the game. We're really glad that Redbeard put all these videos out. It's
one
not good.
video.
It
One
was
video
like 2
reviewing it.
videos though, right?
Well, okay, so I tried to stream it. I couldn't.
Yeah.
stream
Oh
it.
yeah, streaming a video. Yep. You're right.
I did a review of the video that ended up being 37 minutes long. But I've covered the game a couple times about my concerns with it because it felt there was a lot of red flags around it, and I won't rehash them here, but there's a lot of red flags around the company making the game.
Yeah.
Some dishonesty from that company, and then also the fact that the game itself is set to appeal to everyone and not to a group of players. So when I see something like that, it's like if you take any other media, it's like, oh, it's appealing to every single person. And then the thought behind that is they're just trying to make money as quickly as possible and then abandon it. And
Isn't that what all
I worry
MMOs
about.
do, Red? I thought
Yeah.
that was the play.
They're all rug pulls. You should invest in crypto instead.
Also, I want to ask this: have you seen anybody play in a group in this game? I literally have only seen solo play in this game.
There are. I mean, there's groups. There's people that play it in a group. I've watched a couple streams of it to see stuff that I didn't experience as well. It's just, it's one of those things where, how Star Citizen for the longest time has kind of been a weight around the neck of Kickstarter MMOs because it has not launched after close to $1 billion. And so that's kind of what I felt like the Quinfall being, where someone who's not really looking at MMOs goes and they try this game because it looks pretty and flashy and they're promising a lot of things. And then they get a bad experience. And so that bad experience translates to all MMOs. That's why I was compelled to cover it, not because I wanted to.
Yeah, but in 2025, I feel like the Kickstarter gotcha should be over. Like,
one would think.
If you are just going out there and you see one video about an upcoming MMORPG that's promising the world, you probably shouldn't invest your life savings in that. Am I way off base here? Like,
you shouldn't invest your life savings in anything
other than your life.
And I think in general, when any early access title, any Kickstarter title, any title that isn't fully released, any kind of monetary investment, I think just you got to go into it accepting that this may turn out into nothing. There's currently not enough protections around preventing games from taking advantage. the Kerbal Space Program 2 is the one that I always think of that is still available in early access, even though the devs have said, like, the entire team is gone. They were laid off, they're fired, there's no one there. And they've said there's no longer any development on this game, but it still exists in early access.
Crazy.
And stuff like that should not happen, because it dilutes it ruins the possibility for other games, and indie games really often need that indie early access thing, because they need that availability of people testing the game. They need those other opinions, because they don't have teams to do all the testing for them. And yes, there's tons of people taking advantage of it, and I think it's just one of those, every negative is gonna pull down the rest, and that sucks.
Before our valued listeners, please, I'm on Discord. RBF is on Discord. Dimeless is on Discord. Before you lay down your hard-earned cash for a Kickstarter MMO of any kind, and you have any question whatsoever that you might be throwing your money away, please message us. Please message us and say, hey,
Just leave a comment. We'll let you know.
is this a good idea? And we will tell you, because we've been in this space for a while, and we know what looks like a good MMO and what doesn't.
And
Absolutely.
then ultimately ignore all of our advice and do what you feel is right, and always consider that whatever money you put forth, you lost. And if you are
Absolutely.
fine with losing it, whatever.
It's not
If
an
you're not
investment.
fine with losing it, don't buy that game. Just go buy a released game instead.
Yep.
Oh my
It's not an
goodness.
investment.
We have
You are
so
literally
many-
burning cash.
We have so many
Yep.
comments on our channel. I invested in this game, and it's not like, no, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
No, coded.
Coded. If you have $1 million, then maybe you invested. But other than that, no, you did not.
I get that understanding, that feeling of investment, and also there's like personal investment too,
Yeah, personal investment. Absolutely.
like time.
Well, Drac, let's get to the section that the people actually want to hear. They don't want to listen to our ramblings. What does Joppa have to say? Let me know. Tell me.
Joppa didn't have a lot to say this week. It was mostly where RedbeardFlynn said stuff this week. So we're gonna cover a few things, not too many things. I do want you to still go watch RedbeardFlynn's video. It's in the description below, because they covered a lot of stuff. I'm just gonna list off all the topics they covered here, and then you should definitely go check it out, because
Timestamps.
yes, timestamps. There's Joppa's state of the game. Is Pantheon enough like EQ? Very interesting topic. Epic weapons. Are you for or against epic weapons? Also, epic spells. They brought that back up. RedbeardFlynn guilts Joppa into doing EQ Guesser again. Don't think that I didn't see that, because then on Joppa's stream he brought it back. Also,
Did it go over well? I haven't been able to watch that one yet.
Look, okay, I want to put something out here, all right? Because there's a wider group of people that watch Joppa streams now, and EQ Guesser was something Joppa did at the beginning when he started streaming, and he seemed to love doing it.
Yeah, that's how we always knew we had 45 minutes before we started watching the stream.
Yeah,
Was because we knew he was going to do Wordle and EQ Guesser.
yeah, and this is my thing. Joppa's streams are still Joppa's streams.
Yeah.
I know that, hundreds of people go in there just to get whatever information they can and ask about their favorite class and ask what's going on or whatever is happening with Pantheon, but they're still Joppa's streams. It doesn't say Visionary Realm
Right.
on the Twitch, right? So please, like, if he does it again, because there's plenty of people, and I was surprised that they didn't crash EQ Guesser. There's close to like 40 people, I think, that played. But if he does it again, and you don't want to play it, or you don't care, just don't say anything. It's okay not to be a dick about it. Like, it really is okay not to be a jerk.
I think I'm going to clip that so we have that on the soundboard.
That's fine.
So he hasn't played it yet, though? I thought he would play it this week.
He did.
Okay.
He played it once.
Did it go over all right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you had the pushback from people that didn't.
What is this bullshit?
Yeah,
I didn't even
why are
play
you doing
EverQuest.
this? Yeah, why are you doing this? Why, like, no, we just want the game. Like, no, well, okay, then go play it. Like,
Yeah, right.
Or go watch the last VOD. It's
Did they really say that in his chat?
Yeah. I mean,
Ugh.
people, when your chat gets big enough,
Sure.
that happens, right? And he's getting close to 1,000 people watching it every time.
That's crazy.
But it's one of those things. Like, as a content creator myself, it's rude, man. Like, it's just rude.
Yeah.
To when someone is saying we're gonna do this on their own thing, and you be like, no, don't do that. I don't want you to do that. Like, you don't get to pick.
Yep.
Like. It's you don't have ownership of the stream. The streamer does, and that's not just Joppa. That's every streamer. You don't get to tell them. Like it's just it's a level of entitlement that's
it's unbelievable, right? As I dive deeper into the interwebs and start watching more people and different things that I'm interested in, I love when I've got a couple of guys that I watch almost daily that don't put up with that shit at all. Like, they will ban people.
Well,
they will just tell them straight up, like, you're out if you don't stop this. Let me do what I do.
Yeah. And this is I guess this is why I was like, I mean, it's when I say people say that, I think it's probably like maybe 5 to 10 people, right? Like, it wasn't like an overwhelming number. But I'm sitting there, I'm like, Joppa's been streaming for like a year.
Yeah.
It takes
he needs a moderator.
Time. Yeah, well, it takes time to build up calluses as a content creator. It takes time to build up a resilience to that, because you want to please everyone, and then you have to realize that, oh no, I can't please everyone. And so that's why, because even though like Joppa's a Twitch partner, he's got this super high average concurrent, he's still very new to streaming.
Yes.
And so stuff like that can be overwhelming. And I'm not saying it was, and he seemed fine with everything. And he's very, I mean, he's been been in the public eye for quite a while now, and he's dealt with a lot worse than people saying, no, don't play EQ Guesser, right? 247.
Right.
But
our new PvP server.
Yeah. It's like just yeah. This rant's gone on too long, but I mean, it was one.
Don't worry, I'll clip around it.
Yeah.
All right, so lesson learned: don't pay attention to Daimos in chat. Got it.
You never did anyway.
All right, Daimos. Last week we covered Super Bowl snacks. This week we cover Super Bowl commercials. I feel like this is an epic 2 weeks of sport awesomeness for people that don't listen to sports.
Yeah. Well, this is what our listeners come for, right? Like, you're the only one watching the actual game. All the rest of us are there for the commercials and the food. So really, we are still catering to our base with these two topics.
It's me, Random Rob, and Dwimble. We're the only ones actually watching football. Got it.
I doubt Dwimble even is. He's too busy stuffing his fat face.
Ouch. Okay. Ouch. I remember the play nice policy that we covered in the first section of the game.
He's not playing Pantheon. It's fine.
Next week, I'm going to institute a play nice policy for static group live streaming.
I'm out, everybody. It's my last show. Thanks so much for listening. Really appreciate your support.
All right. In the meantime,
I gotta do a PSA before we get into these top fives. Like, y'all, did you know that there is a Patreon for Static Group Live that you can join so that they don't have to use Super Bowl commercials to try desperately to get sponsorships from like everyone from like every single major company ever made, because essentially this next bit here is just a bunch of unpaid sponsorships.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Give us your money. We appreciate that. Tell your people, Red. Let them know that they need to give us their money as well.
5.
Drac, I'm so disappointed in you.
4.
Luckily, every week I dominate this list and just destroy Daimos.
3.
I thought you would just tuck your head between,
no
your
way.
cheeks.
No, my list is amazing.
It's not at all.
2.
Oh, already your list is the worst. Your list is the worst.
1.
To the top 5. I get to go first. I don't know when we decided that, but I've always gone first. So Number
The
5.
precedence has been set.
The precedence has been set. It cannot be broken. Number 5, we got Brittany in the Pepsi commercial 2002. And why this is on here. Not because
Is this the Generations commercial?
Yes.
Okay.
Not because it was an epic commercial, not because she was amazing in it, but because it's Brittany. And at that time in my life, I might have been a little infatuated with Brittany. And it just stuck out as being like, whoa. And so that's my number 5.
2002, the Drax year of Brittany. She's an all right commercial.
She's a cute looking girl. That's what I'll say. She's cute.
She's a little crazy now. I don't know if you've kept up with her.
Listen. I have since moved on and married to my wonderful, beautiful wife. But in 2002, she was okay to look at.
Okay to look at. Oh my God.
Can you say that?
Jeez.
That's still PG-13. Okay, it's fine.
I'll cut it out. Don't worry.
All right. Well, what about your number 5? Is it going to go over the line, Dennis?
Definitely not. My number 5 is one of the newer commercials that actually came out last year. This thing had me rolling. And as I was doing my research for this to really get in the weeds of these commercials, I saw this one and it still is really, really funny. And if you haven't seen it, I know you have. It's a Super Bowl commercial. We've all seen it. Dunkin' Donuts 2024 with J-Lo and Ben Affleck and Tom Brady and Matt Damon. This commercial is hilarious. I love it when celebrities don't care what they look like and are willing to make jokes of themselves to do great commercials like this. I hope Duncan paid them a boatload of money because this was a great commercial. And for whatever you think about either J-Lo or Ben Affleck or Tom Brady, it doesn't matter, because when you can come together and do a commercial like this, it is just unbelievably hilarious. So yeah, number 5, Dunkin' Donuts 2024. Redbeard, what was your number 5?
Well, I'll say my number 5 here in a sec, but I'm looking at our lists, and I don't share my list before the show. I keep my list to myself, but I can see their lists. And there's an interesting thing, because there is one commercial that's on all of our lists.
Oh yeah,
wait for that.
Excellent.
My number 5 is probably not going to be on anyone's list, but the 2022 T-Mobile did a Scrubs duet commercial with
oh yeah,
with JD or with Zach Braff and Donald Faison or Faison. I loved Scrubs, and there's a renewal coming, and I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was a really good, solid number 5 spot. It's kind of a cheesy commercial. It's basically just them singing about like having low internet costs, right?
And then is that the one where Aquaman just comes out of nowhere? Jason Momoa
version. I think there's a longer version. Yeah.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you listen to their podcast at all?
No, I haven't, but I need to.
I think I do too. That show was so good, and those two are so unbelievably funny together. And they're like best friends in real life. They're like the real life Drac and Daimler. So only funny.
Whoa.
Well, that I agree. That was a great commercial. Drac, number 4.
You know I'm a sucker for anything Star Wars. Star Wars. So when you have little kids in Star Wars, it's absolutely a win. So there is the Force commercial for Volkswagen 2023, only a couple years ago. It was absolutely fantastic. Super cute, super awesome, super funny. And like, it's not going to make me buy a Volkswagen, but I love the commercial.
Wait,
so
2023?
Yeah, you're going to flip yourself, Drac. This was actually in 2011. When this commercial was.
I was gonna say, that one's older.
Did I get the wrong date on it? Oh,
yes. This commercial is 14 years old.
Kind of old. Don't hold it against me.
It was a good one.
Kid's in college.
Yeah. I know it was supposed to be funny, and it was, but I don't know. Maybe it's because I don't have kids.
It's because you don't have a heart.
Well, that too.
Or you have no soul.
Yeah,
there's also that.
I am the dark side, so I control all Volkswagens.
Volkswagen.
Yeah.
All right. Well, moving on to your number 4.
So this one is another one that's near and dear to my heart. In 2019, Walmart put out a commercial where they were promoting their pickup service. They had just started. People do the shopping for you. Obviously, this was right before the pandemic, so it was good timing on their part. Who knew? Maybe Walmart put out. They were just pre-advertising for what we all needed.
You were absolutely going to get a little note now at the bottom of this podcast.
I'll just cut it.
We're about to get fake news up in here.
But yeah, they had all the famous cars coming up to get pickup. So it started out with Kit. So anytime you bring Knight Rider into a commercial, I'm already in. But then it went into like the dog van from Dumb and Dumber and the Scooby-Doo mobile and just a ton, the Jurassic Park vehicle. The Bumblebee eventually made his way in and transformed into a Volkswagen and picked up his groceries. It was so good. There were so many great vehicles from the past and present that they brought in. They must have paid a ridiculous amount of money to get all these cars, but they did such a good job with it. And I love cars in any way. And so when they brought them all together like this, it was unbelievably great. So well done, Walmart. You're my number 4, 2019, the famous cars. How about you, Redbeard? What's your number 4?
So my number 4, I don't know how many people know this one, but it may be one of the funniest ones to me. Like I was actually laughing watching it. It's the Lay's Golden Memories commercial from 2022 with Seth Rogen and Paul Rudd. And
oh yes, this is a great one. It's almost made the list.
Oh okay, yeah. The one that really got me and made me put them on this list was like, I don't know if they're in some emergency. It might have been I think it was a plane or something like that, and they're like, and he's like, I have to admit something. I've never watched any of your movies. And and then Seth Rogen looks at him like, even the ones I'm in with you. Seth Rogen marries a ghost. It's
those two are so good. Sure. I love those two. Great commercial. When was that one? I'll have to go back and watch it. I found a website that had them all on there, so I just started binging Super Bowl commercials. All right, Drac, number 3.
Number 3 is, of course, the Budweiser Frogs, 1995. This is classic. For me, this kind of started Super Bowl commercials, because before this, I didn't really care about Super Bowl commercials. But I was in high school at the time, and I knew about the Budweiser Frogs, and I knew that they were cool, and so I knew that from then on out, I had to watch Super Bowl commercials. So Budweiser Frogs, number 3.
We're real bad at these segues.
Segues are killing me this time. But as we continue to look at the Wayback Machine, Damos, what about your number 3?
Number 3 doesn't go all the way back, but it makes reference to something that is a long time ago. And so in 2020, Jeep put out a commercial about Groundhog's Day. And now that the Super Bowl is in February instead of what used to be in January, now it hits pretty close to Groundhog's Day. So this commercial had starred Bill Murray, of course, and it brought back several of the cast members of that. The guy who he meets on the streets every day as he walks by when he wakes up, his brother, who is the mayor, person that holds the groundhog himself. This commercial was great, and it talked about the Rubicon and how every day was an amazing day if you're driving a Jeep. And it was so funny because he would go and kidnap the groundhog and do different things with him. So one time they were playing whack-a-mole, and one time they went skiing together, and the groundhog lost the car. Bill Murray is just a national treasure. Yeah, I've heard all sorts of things that he's a great guy or he's a real asshole, but I don't care. He is so unbelievably funny that he can do no wrong. And when he can make fun of himself in this movie that everybody loves, I just thought this was such a great commercial. So, and he wakes up every day. Like he looks forward to waking up every day and it being Groundhog Day so he can go drive in his Jeep and do something new and exciting in his Jeep every day. Great commercial. Really well done, Jeep. RBF, you're number 3.
Okay, so I'm shocked that this one wasn't on anyone's list.
There's so many commercials though, Red. Like there are iconic ones that I left out that I had to leave out. It's just
for this one, it's a Tide ad.
Is it? We couldn't tell. Is it a Tide ad?
Ad?
We don't know.
It's a Tide ad.
You're right. This was a great commercial.
2018.
Absolutely. Marketing in these commercials are so good.
It was viral. Like it just it stayed for a lot longer. Like I mean, I think the Budweiser one is one that stayed like lasted quite a while, but this one stayed for a while.
Yeah, like after it aired, it was
Everything
still a real
was-
commercial
yeah.
for months and months and months. Yeah.
Everything was a tie.
I love that they can just kind of make fun of other commercials without even really trying, because there are some of these Super Bowl commercials that you have no idea what at all they are. And so Tide did a really good job with this one. They didn't really have anything to say other than, oh, is it a Tide commercial? It was great.
It's a Tide ad.
Yeah, it's really well done. Really well done. Drac, let me hear your number 2.
My number 2 is so great that you once again stole it from me.
I didn't steal this from you.
Yeah, you did.
I honestly, Drac, I did see your list, and I wanted to make this my number 1, but I didn't want you to steal my thunder, so I also made it my number 2.
I knew you did. I knew you altered your pick based on my pick. You big cheater.
You know I love this one, and this particular actress that's in here, and this is the one I assume that Red also has on his list.
Yes, so that would also be my guess. And this is, of course, Betty White and the Snickers ad. 2010, it's fantastic. He's playing, they make fun of Betty White playing football, and then he eats a Snickers and he turns into himself. It's fantastic. Love Betty White, love the Golden Girls.
You know this is my real number 1. Just know out there that this is actually my real number 1, but I couldn't.
Betty White is everyone's real number 1.
I just love her so much. I wish she was still alive, and honestly, I wish I still lived in the 80s and we were still making new episodes of Golden Girls, because that show was so unbelievably good. But even before Golden Girls, she was a national treasure. So to have her in that commercial was absolutely awesome. Since that was my number 2 as well, Red, did you have this at number 2?
It was my number 2 as well.
Yes, I thought so. I thought it would be. What can be said that hasn't already been said?
It's Betty White.
Yeah, she's the best. She's the GOAT.
Perfect comedic timing, always. Just
couldn't agree more. Absolutely. Well, all right. Well, let's break it down. Drax, number 1.
Frankly, I'm a little shocked that you didn't even have this on your list. I know. Like I'm a little hurt. As a man,
in fact, nobody did.
As a man who went to an Indiana Pacer game with you.
Yep.
To see Larry Bird in person, and also Michael Jordan in person. One of the last games Michael Jordan played, we were at the Indiana Pacers Stadium in Indiana watching this game. But you did not choose Showdown. MJ versus Larry Bird, off the back rim, nothing but net.
This commercial is iconic, because if you were like in junior high at this time or high school, the whole off the backboard, nothing but net, off the scoreboard, out through the window, off the riser, like that stuff went on forever. Not even like just months, but like years. Like anytime you were on the court, you talked about this McDonald's commercial. I don't think we got our McDonald's sponsor in, but yeah, it was a McDonald's commercial in 1993. This was such an iconic commercial for such a long time. And they made more. And I think they even came back and did another one later on, if my memory serves me. I don't know if it was necessarily for the Super Bowl, but I do remember they did an updated version of it.
But we don't talk about that one because it had somebody else in it as well. Somebody not deserving of being in that commercial. That rhymes with Braun.
Come on, he did the other Space Jam. Come on.
Get out. Just get out. I don't want to hear it. Just get out. This makes me the winner, though, Daimlos. Like, you didn't have this on your list. So it makes me the winner, and I'm fine to accept yet a third title for 2025. But just let's...
You didn't even hear my number 1 yet.
It doesn't matter because you didn't have Showdown. So you're number 1. Go ahead.
Whatever. All right. Like last week, or maybe this was 2 weeks ago, I need to throw in a couple honorable mentions because they couldn't. I watched so many commercials and I had to dwindle them all down, and it was too tough. But there are a couple that live rent free inside my brain since they aired. And one of them was in 1995. It was a Pepsi commercial. And maybe you all remember this too. The only sound that came out of the commercial was like in the middle of the desert. Nothing was going on. And all you heard was, and it was this guy trying to put the dollar bill into the vending machine. And it just kept spitting the dollar out. And then finally at the end of the commercial, the vending machine accepted the dollar, and he was the most overjoyed person on the planet. And since 1995 and that commercial aired, anytime I use a vending machine, I think of that commercial. I don't know why, but it has lived rent-free inside my brain now for 30 years. Can you believe that? Wait, is that math right? Yeah, 30 years, 95 to 2025. Unbelievable. The other big one I wanted to bring up was in 2016. Mountain Dew Kickstarter came out with a commercial called Puppy Monkey Baby.
Oh my God.
This commercial was an abomination.
Puppy Monkey Baby.
It
Puppy
didn't
Monkey
make
Baby.
them money. Yeah, but you remember it, don't you? On that
I
website,
tormented my wife with it.
right?
for a year.
Right? It was such a well done commercial to people our age. Like, I know that the old folks who not drinking Mountain Dew Kickstarter they hated it. They probably don't even remember it. But for me, who in 2016 was, in his mid 30s, young 30s, it was marketed directly to me, someone that's going to be drinking Mountain Dew Kickstarters. And so I just will never forget this commercial. I still bring this commercial up all the time. If it was more iconic, or if it actually made Pepsi money, then I would have probably put it in my top 5, but it bombed. Everything you see about it, everybody hated it. It was the worst commercial of the Super Bowl that year. The website that I went to, I looked up year by year, and it wasn't even on the 2016 list. It didn't even make their top 20 list of the commercials that were on there. Anyway, to get to my real number one, you may or may not remember this commercial. It's pretty old. 2003 Reebok. They came up with a character named Terry Tate, office linebacker. And if you remember this commercial, it was a big dude to look like a football player. He wasn't a real football player. He was just an actor. And his job was to make sure that office efficiency was at an all-time high. And if it wasn't, you got your ass tackled hard. He's a linebacker. So if you're making a long distance phone call, if you're playing a game of solitaire, you're getting your ass run over by a fucking linebacker. Terry Tate, office linebacker. If you haven't seen that one or don't remember that, go back and see it. 2003 is when it aired. So unbelievably funny. I think they almost tried to come out with a show or a movie. He was an actor, so they tried to keep it going. It was one of those things, but it never had any traction past the 30 seconds. So such a great commercial. Terry Tate, that's my number one. Really, it's my number two because Betty White is number one. All right, Red.
Fair.
We all want to hear what your number one is.
Okay, so my number one's already been said. It was Drax number 4, and it's the
Sure.
Volkswagen Force. Because again, I love Star Wars as well, but I have distinct memories of this, of watching this commercial with my she's my girlfriend at the time, but my wife, and with some of my family and her family, and just everyone liking the commercial. So it has personal memories too. And it's a cute commercial, and
Absolutely.
It's Star Wars, and yeah, so it's my unquestioned number one. It was hard it was honestly hard not putting the Betty White or the Lay's Golden Memories up there, but for the connection and the personal memories and the just the heartfeltness of it, I put it up at number one.
Absolutely. And we didn't really even talk about this, but I don't know if you've ever watched Super Bowl shows, the commercial shows that they put on, where they talk about things of the past. There's always two groupings, right? You've got the ones that pull at your heartstrings, and you've got the funny ones, right? So it's either very emotional and very serious, or it's super funny and just off the wall. But this was one of the few commercials that brought that together, right? You had the wholesomeness of the family and all that, along with hilarious kid being Darth Vader. It hit both of the avenues that these commercials try to hit. There are a lot of people that would absolutely consider this to be number one. And I don't blame you for not having it. For me, not having it on my list is just was not my thing, but it absolutely belongs there. can absolutely make an argument for it, especially at number 1. Drac, you clearly love this commercial.
Clearly.
Let's get on to our Patreon. Drac, if you could pull up the list and make the beautiful sound.
Biddly-doo, biddly-doo, biddly-doo.
Love it. It just brings me back to Super Bowls past, top 5s past. Anyway. So this week, evidently the homework this week was a little difficult because only 2 of our members made the list. We're just going to run through these 2 really quick. These are a lot of commercials that we didn't say, either because, one, we know that Screech is super old balls, and so like his commercials are old, and Zip clearly is also old as well and enjoys a good Budweiser. So let's just run through these. Number 5, the Apple commercial. Zip had it on his number 4 as well. I had to actually go back and watch this commercial because they both had it, and I want to know what it was talking about. Do either of you remember this commercial?
Nope.
I've seen it, but not I wasn't alive.
Super iconic, right? This was when Macintosh introduced the PC, right? And so this was a huge like announcing that we are bringing Macintosh to the public. And so like they had an Olympic runner and she was carrying one of those hammers. She was doing the hammer toss. And so she ran with the hammer and I think people were chasing her. It was like they tried to make it like really futuristic and kind of, but it was 1984, right? And so it was a little different. And then she threw the hammer through the screen and everything changed, right? Because Macintosh came out with the computer. And so it was a big deal. It came out in 1984. Go back and watch it if you want to. It's a little clip of history, but I mean, honestly, this is one of the ones that really started. There are a couple older ones that started the Super Bowl commercials, but this is kind of one of the oldest ones. There was like one that was from the 60s with Joe Namath, but like this one, and then I'm just gonna skip number 2 on Screech's list, and then also number 1 on Screech's list, and number 3 on Zip's list. The Where's the Beef? That's iconic. I think, do people still say "Where's the beef" today? I think I've heard it somewhat recently, within the last couple of years. So this catchphrase has lasted for 30 years. How crazy, or 40 years, 84. I know, Red, you haven't seen it, but it was this old lady. They were in a council room, and it was 3 old ladies, and they were testing burgers. They asked the question to all the other competitors, all Wendy's competitors, "Where's the beef? Our burgers have beef in it." Now, of course, here we are 40 years later, and ain't nobody got the beef. We literally have to get a double Big Mac to get the size of a Big Mac from the 80s. It's kind of funny that things have changed so much. But then, of course, that Coca-Cola commercial with Mean Joe Green, where he gets done with his game, he pops a soda, the kid says, "Oh, you Mean Joe Green," or whatever the hell he says. I don't even remember. And then he throws his jersey at him, and it's super iconic. This is another one that they did years later, where they remade it and did it again with either another player, or maybe it was like Palomalu who did it. I can't remember. My brain's too fuzzy, but super iconic commercials that lasted a lifetime. Last but not least, we got a couple Budweiser ones. We got the "What's Up." Remember that one? This one didn't make my list because it was so annoying. I hate that. Don't ever do that. I'm so glad that died. And sometimes people try to still do that, and it's just like, come on. Here we are 25 years later. Do not tell me "What's up." I don't want it.
That's one of the commercials, millennials are routinely called cringe, and then I remember that was a commercial that we all liked. I'm like, okay, yeah, we are.
And remember, there was even in the Scream parody movies, Scary Movie. Remember when they did that? It was just like,
which one came first? I don't actually know which one came first.
Oh, they took it from the commercial. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was the commercial that made it famous, and then Scary Movie parodied it. Yeah, parodied it. I still can't say that word. Parodied it.
Just block it instead of parrying it.
And then the last one that we didn't mention, this is Zip. His number 5 was the 2021 Alexa loses her voice. I didn't remember this one, so I did go look this one up. It's got like Cardi B on it. The commercial opens up.
Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, yep. Gordon Ramsay starts the commercial. Actually, Jeff Bezos himself starts the commercial. If you forget this one,
no, I remember,
Alexa loses her voice. Jeff Bezos flips out. Can we handle this? Can we handle this? And so then they bring in all these guest stars, Gordon Ramsay, and then it ends with Sir Anthony Hopkins, who did, of course,
Silence of the Lambs.
So yeah. Where he kind of reenacts that voice, and to a girl that her boyfriend is not there at the time, and kind of in that Silence of the Lambs voice, it was really scary. So
I have no idea what you're talking about right now. You're going to need to cut this whole section.
Fuck you. That's how I'm ending.
That's not PG-13, sir.
It's the end of the show. No one's listening.
Is that how we're going out?
Before you leave, we've one final word. Before you've forgotten all that you've heard, there is a moment evergreen. Stay here a while and listen to me.
All right, Timeless. We've had to say goodbye to RedbeardFlynn before, and he's still come back. So maybe there's hope that he'll come back again.
He likes us. He really likes us. I want Red to know that, maybe hosts of the past didn't have you on as much, but we really appreciate you taking the time to be here. We've only done 22, 23 shows now, and we have already had you on 3 times more than other hosts from the past. So I want you to know that we really care about you. And
your audience is going to get tired of me.
Our audience is half your audience, or is probably all of your audience. 100% of our audience is your audience. So we appreciate you. We appreciate you coming on and talking games with us. And
of course, always.
It's a labor of love that we do, and I wish that we could pay you, and because you deserve it.
Wait, I'm not getting paid?